Let's jump into this first story. We'll kick back off where we just were with these hedge funds. Check this story out. This is amazing. I want to get a standing ovation to the GameStop, the AMC, the meme stock apes. This is incredible. You've taken out a hedge fund. Look at this. CNET reports hedge fund that bet against GameStop is closing down. It's game over for White Square Capital. It managed $440 million in assets at its peak. It sent a letter to investors outlining plans to close down the main fund this month and return investor capital following a review of the business model, according to the report. They're announcing a double-digit percentage loss suffered by the first meme stock rally in January. And oh boy, it's only just begun. So now what you have is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Steve, you have a lot of these big hedge funds that they manipulate the game. It's a manipulated casino. It's a rigged game. They can short a company. Then their friends in the media say, oh, this company's bad and it's going to crash. You better sell now, causing the stock price to plummet. And then the short sellers make off like bandits, stripping and manipulating all of us. So what happens is these meme stock apes are like, so these people have no choice but to buy stocks, to cover their shorts. Yes. So that means if we all buy them right now and the price goes up, they're forced to buy them from us. Yes. Let's play. Now a hedge fund's just imploded.
Can they alternately declare bankruptcy and just wash the debt?
The hedge funds, they're leveraged. Here's the problem. Here's the issue. Remember, the deplorables are the common mans on both sides of the trade. You have the ape army that is just a collection of several million of people throwing in money and buying and holding these traditional companies, okay? And the stock price goes up because they refuse to sell. The shorts that are the naked shorts, all that money they're managing is essentially pension fund money. And what they're doing is they're using, and they're doing this naked shorts and using leverage to really not just destroy the companies, but to speculate. This is not, hedging is a natural part of Wall Street to hedge certain long positions. This is not that. This is where you're in high speculation to basically make a profit on destroying companies and leaking information. Here's where the rigged game is. Last summer, Steve Cortez, who's the great guy over at Newsmax and a trader for 30 years, he saw these meme stocks, and last year, he does thousands of trades a year. He tried to buy GameStop, right? First time in his life, not margin, but in an online account, he had cash money in. First time in 30 years on Wall Street, he couldn't buy the stock. They were protecting the hedge funds against the stock going up. So you couldn't, and this is a big controversy, Robin, you couldn't execute the buy, which is on Wall Street. Sometimes you can't sell because of restrictions, but hey, anybody, you want a stock, boom, you got cash, not leverage, boom, you can buy it. This is how the casino is rigged. And this is why this transcends politics, because here you have this ape army of just everyday Americans, and they're teaching each other. They're teaching you. I mean, Brittany Avery was on. She sounded like a trader at Goldman Sachs. The woman's been in the stock since January. She's talking about dips and shoulders, and and they got naked options, and the calls are coming. I mean, I'm sitting there going, wow, this is not bad. Where did she learn it? She learned it, and they go online. They teach each other. This is a community, and I'm telling you, the Charlie Gasparino and all the Wall Street press, the Wall Street Seeking Alpha has the guy in the short position who's sweating bullets, who writes the article. They are trying to force these guys to sell for every host of reason to save a Citadel Capital and the big highly leveraged funds. And this is why it's one of the most, it's applied populism. This is not people talking about it. This is people doing it. And I'm not telling the audience to go buy the stock. What I definitely would do is seek out this community and find out more about it. You will learn more about practical finance. If you don't know anything about the stock market, if you don't know anything about economics, you don't know anything about finance, I think these people will teach you. And they will teach you what the reality is. And this is still, and you come from the Occupy movement. I mean, this is the problem we've had since the crash. The problem we've had since the crash in 2008 is that the 1% has gotten, it's insane, because Obama is the most progressive president in history. The solution at the time was to basically blow up the balance sheet of the Federal Reserve, increase assets, and let all people who own stocks and real estate they went from $880 billion in the Fed's balance sheet to $4.5 trillion. That money was infused in the system to save the system, okay, on the shoulders of the little guy. It was them paying for the bailouts. It was your taxes. And also the negative interest rate. The interest rates went to zero. Zero interest rates kills the little guy because you can never accumulate any capital. You don't get any interest on your money market or any savings account. It's destroyed. This is why I say the millennials are nothing more than Russian serfs. They're better educated. You're in better shape. You have more access to information. You don't own anything. and you're not going to own anything. And today, BlackRock and Blackstone are buying up every house in the country because of zero interest rates. They're going to get the upside of the assets. You're going to pay the rent. They keep saying in the Davos, oh, just be a renter. Don't need to own anything. You'll have no skin in the game. You'll just be a serf. You're just going to be a serf.
Let's expand on that.
Okay.
You mentioned the Seeking Alpha article. I pulled it up, where it says an open letter to the apes, the stock market in reality. The original title was Emotion May Tell You to Buy, Reason Will Tell You to Sell. Then once you get all the way to the bottom, as Steve mentioned, I scrolled all the way to the bottom, and he says, disclosure, we are short AMC. I wrote this article myself and it expresses my own opinions. I'm not receiving compensation for it other than Seeking Alpha. I have no business relationship with any company whose stock is mentioned in this article. Additional disclosure, I have sold AMC calls. I also own MTG stock I briefly mentioned.
Yeah. He's against the wall. No, here's the thing. First, he sounds like your father. He's patting you on the head and telling you about it. Then he's the voice of reason. It sounds so great. At the end of it, all you want to do is get out of the stock. And
You're
then
right.
And then you see, I got to get out of the stock, honey. We got to dump it.
So this is how the media tries to rip off little guy. These people, they come in, they short a stock, and then once the apes come back and they start saying, hey, we're gonna fight back. You see all these articles come out saying it's bad, it's a bad idea, don't buy, don't do it. CNBC doesn't even say the word naked shorts. But let me tell you something else. You mentioned BlackRock. Have you seen how many articles there are right now saying millennials don't buy a house? Or how many articles say a recent poll says millennials hate owning homes?
Don't like it. This is the great reset and build back better. The party of Davos, if you go to Davos, the World Economic Forum, that commercial, it starts up by, we don't need to own anything and we're going to be happier. Right?
No, you will own nothing you will be happier.
You will own nothing and you will be happier. And then all of a sudden, and here's the thing, you're paying for it. I want to go back to the great Alex Jones. He said it, information warfare. What this is, there's 3 types of warfare, as the Chinese teaches in unrestricted warfare. There's information warfare, which includes cyber, but propaganda. There's economic warfare, and there's kinetic warfare, guns, bombs, everything like that. And Sun Tzu teaches you, hey, I want to defeat them before we get to kinetic, foreign devils. What I want to do is information and economic warfare. There is information and economic warfare against the working class and middle class in the world today, okay? And this is why this ape army is bringing it. That article is sophisticated information warfare. Psychologically, it's very persuasive, both from an emotional point of view and then at the end, the reason point of view. You actually think your father, your smart uncle is actually sitting there going, take the profits, sell the stock, because the hedge funds are jammed. And then at the bottom, full disclosure, oh, I'm short.
That should be at the top. The disclosure should be the first thing.
100%. If it was fair, it's a rigged casino. The casino's rigged, and their friends make all the profits. There's a thing called Archegos. That was this family office, the new scam. This family office imploded a couple weeks ago, making all these trades, a guy named Wong. But it was the banks. There's $20 billion of losses by Morgan Stanley, by UBS, by Nomura Securities, billions and billions of dollars, okay? Of all pension fund, that's all the deplorables money is wiped out. Reason, the latest scam they have, the hedge funds are virtually unregulated. The family offices are unregulated. There's zero regulation. This is all the super wealthy. We've created what the revolution in 1776 was against was a landed aristocracy in the United Kingdom, in England. We have created a global aristocracy that's purpose in life is to make sure the little guy never gets off the mat, and they will use any type of information economic warfare to do that.
I want to go back to something you mentioned. You mentioned that I came from Occupy and that's populist left, and that's true. But the people that I know that I met during Occupy are authoritarian establishment left now. They're no longer populist libertarian left. They're absolutely toe the line for the FBI, support the Fed, support the war. I tweeted something. I posted this on Facebook too. I said the greatest de-radicalization in the history of the United States. The activist left who used to oppose the federal government, who are supporting the hackers, who were supporting
the best
people like Weave.
The best free speech people in the world. The ACLU.
All of a sudden are posting in support of the FBI, the CIA, are saying it's wrong to end the wars because it'll create a power vacuum. And I'm like, wow. I said this is a woman I know. She was part of the hacker community, not necessarily a big hacker herself, but she was friends with all of them. She was very active during Occupy. And she posted when the feds raided Giuliani's apartment and office. She was like, yay. And I said, incredible to see you finally recognizing what was wrong with your radicalism and supporting the FBI and the federal government. The people, of course, you were protesting quite literally for 5 years. And they don't understand. One person who went to prison for hacking said, well, better they use it on my opponents than me. And I was like, so you're an authoritarian who likes the use of governmental force to shut down your rivals? I was like, bro, didn't you protest that exact thing? Weren't you one of the people like championing Julian Assange and complaining about his unlawful detainment? Or I shouldn't say unlawful because they certainly claim it is, but the unethical, amoral detainment of Julian Assange. Now all of a sudden you're happy the federal government just goes and does whatever they want? I don't know what happened to these people.
No, Lord Acton told us about it. Power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. This is about power.
That's right.
This is about power. They now have power. And here's the thing. Think back to the 60s and 70s. The New York Times, the Washington Post, the great investigative reporting against the corruption in the CIA, what was happening in the CIA and the FBI that led to the Church Commission. All the checks and balances we kind of had in Congress, the special committees and the ability to have the Gang of Eight and review all this all came from essentially liberal or left, center left or liberal, the bastions of liberal media in the 60s and the 70s that led to these investigations that should have been done and had to be done. Those places today, the New York Times and the Washington Post, are the vanguard of protection of a national security apparatus. I'm a foreign naval officer. My daughter went to West Point. You know, our whole family, my kid brother that's here today is a Navy pilot. All of us served. We're the biggest guys that are sitting there going, this apparatus is out of control. It's out of control against every American.
I love this. I wonder if, let me start over. People have tried to figure out what left and right means in this day and age. It certainly meant something, 20 years ago, I guess. Maybe it didn't. During Occupy, it certainly did. You had the libertarian right, you had the libertarian left. Wokeness came into Occupy and really did a number in destroying a lot of it. And I wonder if that was, intentional. There's a comic we reference where it's this wealthy guy in a big office and there's protesters saying Occupy Wall Street outside. He's on the phone and he goes, introduce identity politics. That was one of the big things that really helped break apart the libertarians who showed up to Occupy Wall Street. They leave as soon as this stuff pops into place. But I wonder if there is a big, if the issue is populist versus elitist or authoritarian versus libertarian. These are core components.
I think it's populist versus elitist and nationalist versus globalist. The nation state is still the best way to have your not just your values, but to have your basic rights. Right?
But how about the religious framework as well, right? So if you look at the woke, which is a very large component of the establishment, their moral framework is fascistic. They believe there is no objective truth. There is only power. Yep. It was the late David Graeber, who was one of the key organizers of Occupy Wall Street, who actually said this. He tweeted out, big element of the left today is that this fascistic belief that there's no truth but power. And so you look at the Judeo-Christian moral framework, which is far from perfect, but there's a lot of aspects of it, like Blackstone's formulation, rooted in the story of Sodom and Gomorrah. I bring this up. I don't want to riff too much on this, but I think, we try to figure out what left and right means, and it's hard to know for sure, but I do think the biggest aspect might just be, will you be honest and fair with someone and their rights to individualism, or do you think those in power should wield it against anyone who would oppose them?
Well, I think that's what the globalists are. I think the globalists are totally materialistic, and they're prepared that power corrupts, and absolute power corrupts absolutely, and they feel they have absolute power. I think everything on the cultural side are just things. A lot of things are just thrown out there. I'm still in economic and financial power. The people that have that power actually control things, right? And they're trying to do other. I think one of the things that you saw what Mao did and the Bolsheviks did to try to break the traditional family. The key is to break the family. Right, you see that here with a lot. What happened here, I think, with what I call cultural Marxism, is still to have these struggle sessions to try to break the nuclear family and to break that. Just like Mao, that was the whole thing of the Cultural Revolution, was to break that. Same thing with the Bolshevik.
Thanks for checking out this clip from the Timcast IRL podcast. If you want to see the full show, come back to this channel, youtube.com/TimcastIRL, Monday through Friday at 8 p.m., where you can leave comments and super chat, and we actually will read your comments on the show. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and if you want exclusive members-only content, segments you can't get anywhere else, go to timcast.com, become a member, and we even have full bonus episodes. Thanks for hanging out. and we'll see you all next time.